As the new school year gets underway online for many of our local school districts, we wanted to take a look at the decisions that are being made when it comes to reopening schools.
So all this week at 5, we'll be joined by a variety of experts for a discussion about kids and COVID-19, all through the lens of science. In tonight's first Learning Curve Behind the Science report, News 8's Shannon Handy sits down with County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher to hear more about the team of researchers the county is working with and the challenges they're facing.
Simply put, how are decisions made when it comes to the county and the data that you guys are receiving?
It is set up and designed to be driven by data, by the science, by the facts. There's a lot of people that are working really hard. 7 days a week, 16, 18 hours a day, every single day to try and guide us through this.
Are you guys comparing the county numbers with the state benchmarks, or explain that for people if you can?
Yeah, we have a series of metrics that were put in place that are really designed to give us insight into what's happening. One of the most challenging things of COVID is there's a significant delay between when it spreads and when that spread will show up in numbers. So let's say you go to a party at someone's house in an indoor setting, and there's a significant spread, and you leave. It may take 7 to 10 days for it to incubate in you before you feel any symptoms. And then you think, well, I should get tested, and that may take a couple days, and then it may take a couple days to get a test result. And so it could be 14 or 15 days later, you show up in our system, even though the spread happened weeks before. And so that's one of the great challenges, is you have to take action before it's painfully obvious that you need to. And the preventive side of slowing the spread early is a challenge, and often creates a disconnect with the public, who will say, well, things seem fine.
In regards to school closures, a state mandate prohibits schools from in-person learning until we're off the state watch list for 2 weeks. But schools can apply for a waiver. Locally, 71 have done so at this point.
What is going into deciding whether or not a school can have one of those waivers?
But the waiver process is essentially elementary schools only, attesting to what is their plan and protocol for reopening. And so right now we're in the phase of working with each of the schools that have applied. A handful of the applications have already been sent to the state for their final sign-off or consultation. Some of them we had to send back and say, hey, we kind of tighten up this or that. But I expect in the coming week, some of those elementary school waivers will be finalized and they will be able to open. And then hopefully in 2 weeks, if we keep our numbers down, then all schools will be in a position where they will be authorized to open. Now, many of them may choose not to, and that is a school-by-school decision.
What is it that the county is doing to try and support these families that are juggling virtual learning and trying to work from home?
The burden that parents feel to be the teacher and keep your kid at grade level through all of this is very, very, very challenging. And so early on, I worked really hard to work with the YMCA summer camps to help align our public health orders, and we went and got $1 million of philanthropy to help get them up and running and moving. We also pushed early in the pandemic to get $10 million of CARES Act money. We led an effort to do that, dedicated to vouchers for essential workers who could get their kids into childcare. And then most recently, my office spearheaded the effort to get an initial $25 million where we matched $10 million of philanthropy, so $35 million of new funding for our child care providers to help get them up and running during this pandemic. And then we've also worked really closely with schools, dedicating millions of dollars for testing protocols for schools as they come back online. It's going to be hard for a little bit longer, but we will make it through this.
Supervisor Fletcher also touched on what's called the digital divide, saying that he will soon be urging the board to invest more money to ensure that kids can connect to the internet and learn virtually. Tomorrow, we'll feature a UCSD epidemiologist who has been working with county leaders on the issue.
Look forward.